Democratic Senator Ed Markey of Massachusetts released a campaign video Monday showing Senator Elizabeth Warren endorsing him.
We need Ed Markey in the Senate now more than ever. And here's why. Because he's a leader, he's a fighter, and he is a true progressive.
Markey was elected to the Senate in 2013 and has been in Congress since the 1970s. Warren's video endorsement comes after a public endorsement earlier this year, and after reports that Congressman Joe Kennedy will decide soon whether to challenge the incumbent senator in a primary. The Boston Globe said the move would, quote, upend Massachusetts politics and trigger a potentially divisive intra-party fight. Victoria McGrane co-wrote that piece. She is a national political reporter for the Boston Globe and joins us now. Victoria, thanks very much for being with us. How is Senator Markey responding to the idea of a potential challenge from Congressman Kennedy?
Well, as you mentioned, releasing the video endorsement from Elizabeth Warren, you could definitely see him. He is circling the wagons. He is trying to, show that he has all of this institutional support here in Massachusetts, hopefully trying to sway Kennedy from not getting in, because as we've reported, Kennedy is still weighing the decision. No decision has been made, and he's going to make up his mind in the coming weeks.
Well, give us a sense of the political landscape here. Is anyone in Massachusetts politics pushing Kennedy to challenge Markey?
Definitely behind the scenes, and also there is a constituent group, of Kennedy's own constituents who have formed what they're calling a grassroots movement to encourage him to get into the race. But even, behind the scenes, there are those operatives who think that if Kennedy wants to be in the Senate, that this is his moment, this is the best time. He shouldn't wait for a seat to open up, whether that's if Warren takes the White House or later on. Seats do not become available that often in Massachusetts politics, so there's a lot of pent-up ambition. And on the other hand, there are the institutionalists who are urging Kennedy not to take on someone who's been a good friend to the family, who is a strong progressive, their policy records are very similar. This would be more of a generational and style difference if Kennedy were to get into the race.
Interesting. Well, we just saw Senator Warren endorsing Senator Markey. What is her relationship like with Congressman Kennedy?
So they are very close, and the thing to note about her endorsement, including that video, was shot before this news broke that Kennedy was considering this, and it's we don't know for sure, but my reporting strongly suggests that she wouldn't have been aware that he was really considering this. Reporters asked her about her endorsement of Markey after the news broke over the weekend that Kennedy was thinking of getting into the race, and she said yes, Eddie is a great partner, and then she turned and heaped similarly warm praise on Kennedy, saying that he is also a great partner and an amazing guy, and that the two of them had worked before she even got into politics. Kennedy was a student in her law class at Harvard. He met his wife in her class. He was the one that she chose to introduce her when she announced her run for president.
It is a small world, the world of Massachusetts politics, it would seem.
It is.
So is it clear whether Kennedy would actually pose a serious threat to Markey, considering all of the people who are standing by the incumbent senator?
Yes, Kennedy would pose an incredibly serious risk. Numerous analysts we've spoken to think that he would be the instant front runner. That doesn't mean it wouldn't be a hard-fought campaign, but that Kennedy name draws a lot of the more casual voters, even if they sort of the party faithful, the insiders don't like this idea of an incumbent challenging an incumbent being challenged. That's not going to matter to your rank and file Democrat in Massachusetts who likes the Kennedy name and likes what they see on TV.
Interesting. Well, you also write that a number of progressive activists greeted the Kennedy news with skepticism. Why is that, Victoria?
Because Ed Markey is this happy warrior. He is a legislative workhorse. He has been on the most progressive side of the issues that these sorts of activists care about. I mean, don't forget, Ed Markey was the lead author of the cap and trade bill that passed the House in 2009. It died in the Senate, but it was a landmark. It was a sort of a watershed attempt to get a control of climate change. And he has been sort of the forefront of net neutrality, other consumer protection issues. So if you're an activist in Massachusetts who's really into these issues, you love Ed Markey. But again, that's a small portion of the general electorate when you get to a primary in a state where everyone's overwhelmingly Democratic or voting in a Democratic primary.
All right, fascinating political dynamics shaping up there in Massachusetts. Victoria McGrane, thank you so much for sharing your insight with us.
Thanks for having me.